Good. Thank you. So if you are able to get onto your email, you should receive an invitation for AWS. Make sure that you access it. It will look something like this. Course invitation from AWS Academy. You're gonna click that green, blue, blue get start button. And keep in mind that AWS Canvas is different than our Canvas. We're just gonna use their Canvas to access their free AWS platform, which has all the cloud stuff that we're gonna need. Okay, so we are gonna make a virtual machine on their server, and then we are going to connect to it using SSH, which stands for Secure Shell. So I'll start in a minute and get you started. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. I know our class officially starts at 7:35, but since some of you are here already and you want to get started, okay. So today we are going to do lab 6.2, which is going to be AWS. And I chose Linux is because we did a little bit of Linux this week. We're going to have plenty of times to do Windows as we have Windows here. So you are going to experience Ubuntu online through AWS, and it's through their service called EC2, which is a virtual machine environment. Now they also have S3 and other area. So this is a small piece in AWS. RCC does offer AWS Academy. They have 3 courses for the cloud architect. We will have, for NVC, we will have Azure and AWS, a little bit more on the DevOps side. So here is where some things that you also want to make a note of. When you finish today, make sure that you log off your AWS account on AWS. And before you do that, you need to stop your instance. Even if you sign off, your instance still counts up. And also it's for security reasons, because we're not applying any crazy security policy to protect our system. So your instance will be vulnerable and it's tied to your account. So I want to make sure that you stop your instance. I'll show you how to do that. And then you can pause your lab by clicking End Lab. So it stops the clock from counting down your account. Okay. I can always reset your account through their Academy, but I just don't want you to be somewhere else and trying to use it, and then you run out and you don't have access to reset right away. So you can always use their starter account, which only gives you $50 in free credit, and you do have to put in credit card if you don't link it through the Academy. You can use it through the Academy without having to put in the credit card, but if you sign up outside, right, you have to put in a credit card, even though they don't charge anything up front. Okay. So as we get situated, we are going to access your email, and on your email, you will have an invitation like this. You are going to click Get Started. Now, I told some of you, but I think some of you just got here. So when you click this on your email, it's going to take you to the registration. You should create an account because Canvas Academy for AWS is a separate Canvas shell from your school Canvas. It has no affiliation whatsoever with RCCD right now. Okay, so click get started, and then from your email, and then here we are going to create an account. And here is where we're going to put in our password. And you can select your time zone if you want. We can go with Pacific, US, Canada, select agree, and then click register. So again, create your account. Once you create your account, it's going to take you to AWS shell. And I wrote everything down step by step. I even molded it so that way we don't miss. So make sure we read the instructions in case we fall behind. Because if you miss something, things will not work, and then you have to go back and redo, okay? So after we make the account, this is in AWS Academy. So this is what you see. Then you are going to click modules on the left. Whenever you use Canvas in any classes, right, whether it's here or another school, click modules. We're trained to put things in module for you. So if you want instructions for AWS Access, I had asked you to look at the student guide. So whenever that you get stuck and you don't know how to navigate, the student guide gives you the information on what to click, right? It walks you through on how to use AWS. This is the core shell. It brought you here. So the next step that it tells us is to go back to module and click on Learning Lab. I had opened the lab already. Okay. When you click on module and you click on the Learning Lab with the link, it should show the little link symbol, not the guide. You are going to scroll down. This is the terms and the agreement, right? Privacy policy, images, ownership removal, all of their legal liability is here. Okay. So you are not allowed to probe or scan unless your professor creates a Docker that allows you to do that. Okay, so you cannot scan against their stuff. And then so on. Okay, so scroll down. I mentioned that because most of my students are in cybersecurity and they're curious. They're always trying to scan stuff. So here, scroll down all the way to the bottom. And then you're going to click agree. And it's going to show this. Okay. And if you have multiple classes, you can navigate to the classes, but this is student access. So we are going to, so where am I at here? Okay, I just finished step 6. So if you get lost, go back to our document from our 6.2 lab, and then your next step is to click the access button. Now, for the students that write scripts, they can write the script directly into here, but we're not doing that, okay? And it's gonna put it into a certain folder. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna go ahead and click Start Lab. And this is gonna go, and whenever that I'm done, I'm gonna end lab, okay? I had start lab for all of you, so it doesn't take too long. Otherwise, it takes like 10-15 minutes to go. So when you're done, make sure that you click end lab so it stops the clock. Then you're gonna click the AWS with the green button on the top left. This is gonna take you to AWS Console. Now, AWS can be managed in 2 ways. You can go through the console, which is web front with the interface, or you can go through the command line, which is called AWS CLI. That is an application that you can actually install, and you can authenticate to your AWS account through it. Okay, it looks just like command prompt, or Linux command line, but we are going to use this. So click this with the green button. So it's going to bring you here, and this is the console. I want to run through this real quick because I actually, I dived through some of the services with my more higher advanced programming classes because they have to use this to write scripts sometimes on the cloud. So we are going to use this area called the virtual machines. You can build servers, and that's what's called cloud infrastructure, infrastructure as a service, IaaS. So in this chapter, it talks about different types of services and different types of cloud. Now, a lot of the companies are going to use elasticity, which means that they're going to bill based on the amount of usage that you have. Your parents or people that's my age would know that back in the day when you get mobile phone or cell phone, we call it, we would get charged by the minutes. Okay, it's like how you get charged by data amount on, if you download exceeded the amount of data packages that you have, they're going to charge any additional. So elasticity is very much like that. It's pay as you go. And so you can build different type of servers. So if I am a web developer, or if I have needs for web development, I'm going to use this. If I have IoT devices, like things, smart wearable devices, smart home devices, I can host it through here, the IoT portion, and you can program directly into it. And then if you want to do migration, that means you want to move some of your profile and data and server stuff, you can put that here. Development projects, deploy, and then you want to host your domain like the .com, the .edu, and so on. Many of the companies chose AWS because it's one of the affordable service that you see for cloud compared to Google or Azure. So now I suggest that you go through and do AWS certifications down the line, because from here on out, we see everything that's cloud-based because it's very cheap to rent somebody's server. That's what cloud is, okay? So we are gonna click launch of virtual machines. This is called EC2. So when you put stuff on your resume, you can say, basic knowledge to using EC2 virtual machine or AWS EC2, and people would in the industry, they would know what that is. Okay, so click this. Yeah, so you need to just reload. Sometimes you just have to refresh it. Okay, so everybody is good at this point. So where am I at here? So after I had clicked on AWS Console, right? So I start lab already. I'm gonna click on launch EC2. And in EC2, there are different types of server you can use. Some are paid. So these are operating system, just like how we make virtual machine. This is a virtual machine on their server at the data center at Amazon. Okay, so you can run Mac OS, but we're only going to be able to use the free ones because our accounts is free. So if you want to pay, you can actually use the other OSs. So we are going to scroll down all the way to the bottom. And you can use also server. I actually wrote a lab for this class, so we'll do it another time. Yeah, so it's a deep learning. If you want to do that, you can actually do some programming and model for that. But if it doesn't say free, then you have to pay for it. So not all the services are available for us. So this uses it uses different processor, you can see that. And TensorFlow is actually used for big data and machine learning. Okay, so that's more the data science side. So we are gonna go down to this one. Actually, not the SQL one, sorry, this one. where it says free tier eligible. It's under Amazon Linux. So Amazon runs their version of Linux and it looks similar to what you've seen with the other releases. So this one has net.core, PowerShell, Mate desktop. So, but we're going to choose Ubuntu 16.04 LTS SSD volume. So we are using solid state drive on that particular server. So you are going to click select 64-bit. Okay. Click select. It's going to automatically pick T2 micro for you. This pertains to how that virtual machines is used with the processor that's at that rack at the data center. It's going to dedicate about 1 gig of memory, not that fast. So if you want faster and beefier, you know, EC2 on cloud, you have to upgrade. So for practice purposes, that's all we need, really. Okay, so you're going to select this and you're going to click review and launch. And it's going to tell you this, and this is important. So for today, we're not applying any kind of security group because I want you to be able to access it. But in the long run, if this is your instance, so every machine that you create on their server, it's called an instance. If this is your instance, you have to make sure that you have the proper policy in there because there are people who scans against these online. It's going to be wide open and you don't want that to you know, to impact you if you have data on it. Okay. So once you have this, you're fine with this. So it says to improve your security, you can click this and you can change it to more secure instead of using port 80, but we're not doing that today. So we're going to click launch. So this is important, right? On your canvas with Academy, they actually has a key already created for you. So in the case that if you lose your key from the Academy, you can get the vault key, which is through the account. But you can definitely make your own key. So what this key does is this is a public key and a private key infrastructure. It's called a PKI. It's kind of like, you know, you're going to lock the door with one key and you're going to open the door with another key. It allows you to be able to secure your access using RSA, which is an encryption algorithm, and it's used across a lot of different platforms. So you are going to choose create a new key pair, and you are going to put in the name for your key pair and download it. And that .pem key needs to be secure because if you lose that, you can no longer use that key, that private key, because the public and the private key needs to match in order to access. Yes. Yeah, like the crypto wallet, like a lot of services actually. So here I'm just going to put in Ubuntu and my initial. And it's going to go to the download folder, so you can always save it somewhere. We're going to click download key pair. So where am I at here, right? I already launched. I create a new key pair. I put in my name or whatever name I wanted to call my key, and I'm going to download. So step 15 and 16, that's where I'm at. Click save. And you need this in order to SSH. So do not lose that .pem, otherwise you have to repeat the step. So some of my other students in my other classes, when they did this for networking with Python, I had them do cloud programming with Python, right? And some of them lost their key, and they already started the instance, they started working on the lab, they started building the scripts, and they lost their key. So they couldn't access it for a while, and then they have to redo the entire instance and all of that. So sometimes it's just inconvenient. Okay, so go ahead and launch your instance, and it's gonna go. Now your virtual machine is ready to go. Let's just retry. So you might have to retry a few times. Okay, if this doesn't work, just repeat the step. Did you guys get the same thing as I am? Okay, hold on one second. Let me fix it. Yeah, I had
On the other one, it says area. This happens a lot, so you access it, you expect it.
yeah, you have to click the link in order to get through it instead of through the hold on one second. Let me restart your lab. Give me a second. This is what
Oh, I found it.
Amazon is such boo-boo sometimes. And I'm recording that. It's yeah, I had tested this 3 times this morning. So the first time it failed and the second time I had created a student account. I logged in and it worked. But now it's failing again. So they did mention that on their troubleshooting thing where, you have to restart. And so just hang tight. So if this is the case, you can try, and it's gonna probably fail task again, and that's okay, right? So we probably have to redo that. But it says it's 42% process on mine right now on the instructor side. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, what happens is sometimes it doesn't apply your access policy. See that? And they use a credential, so it doesn't push the credential from Vocarium over to AWS itself. Okay, let me see. This is. Let me try it again online. Oh, that's not the one. It says I'm not eligible for the free tier. Did I pick the deep learning one? Probably. Okay, that's that.
Oh, you just said March? Okay. Okay. What standard do we use? RSA?
Yep, RSA is the one we're using.
Okay. And what do we use?
Okay. Oh. Hold on. Yeah, it's still processing right now. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to start it like at 6:30 today, and it was fully processed, but now it's not. Do you have any other error?
I couldn't get in until like a second ago.
Yeah, it's pretty unstable on that side, and I'm sorry I can't do anything about that. It's on AWS. So let me try to review and launch it again. If not, you're gonna have to, let's see if I make a new one. You already downloaded the private key. Okay, so proceed, choose an existing key. So we're gonna have that key. Let's see if we use VOC key, if it does it. If we use the VOC key, it might. Nope. Okay. Let's try. And I'm so afraid that this is gonna happen. See that? Okay. Let me restart the lab.
Wait, how did you do this? Yeah, but we go to
Whatever you want to call it,
Oh.
actually. Okay. So let's go back
Okay, there we go.
and then click leave. Let's try to, they said to go back into the learning lab. So I'm only like 50% process right now on it. So that's why. But I had started it earlier. Sorry, just hang tight.
I'll just put it as let's put it as there we go. Save it to
So 70% now, give it about a few more minutes. And then you can refresh. If you want, you can just restart the VM. Okay, it's 100% process. And then let me see if it shows here that 19 is ready started. Okay, so I selected this. I'm gonna click launch. Let me see. I acknowledge instance. Oh my gosh. 1 second. Shows nothing. Give me 1 minute.
Let's see, I want to buy a domain. Like, what domain should I
Okay,
buy?
so I see most of you on it already.
It's only like
Um,
$12. We got 100. Yeah.
How much are
.org. Also,
the
yeah.
most expensive? It's iOS.
Why is IO so late? Yeah. What the heck? No. Dot Berlin. Wait, where? Oh my God. Dot audit? Oh wait, no, that's just.
Yeah.
That it said dot audit. Dot ban. Dot black. Dot blue. Dot builders. Dot buzz. Wait, there's a dot camera? Of course there is. Dot chat. Wait, what's the cheapest one? What's the cheapest one? Dot org. Dot uk. Well, that one's $9. Okay. Let's see. Dot word. Dot word. Works. Dot witch. Dot website. Dot watch. Dot voyage. Look at all the. I am. So far, it's the $100 one. Wait, no.
No. Yeah,
Okay,
Dot sucks.
so here we go. So if you do this and then it's telling you that you get the error, right? Watch. I found a loophole in this. So let's say that if you go through and you select, what was it? This free tier one, and then you started your instance, right? Review and launch, and then you launch, and you got your key pair, acknowledge, and launch instances, right? It says it's this is the error, right?
Mhm.
Go back to the retry fail on task, right? And if it doesn't do that, go back to the review screen. And then you are going to go to choose, wait. Services at the top and EC2. Click here.
Okay.
And then EC2. Okay, and then you are gonna see this right here, this orange button, and go launch instance, which takes you here again, right?
Mhm.
Let's try it again over here. I think this is how I got it working last time. Then select, and then we're gonna select the same thing. Oh, no. Sorry.
So,
Hold on. On yours, did it say US East one right here? How about if we select West Oregon right here? Click this one.
oh,
Because sometimes when those are busy, that's what happens too.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna
What?
say. Why are we pinching?
Well, it's always gonna default to the Virginia one because that's their first one. So we're able to use east or the west too, which is closer to us physically. Right, let's see if that works. But I had done this earlier today to test it like the third time and it worked. So I apologize. I hate when this happens, when we rely on someone's technology like this. So, all right.
Oh, you gotta make a new key.
Yeah, choose a new key because it's a different server.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just put your initial, something like that. And then download. Just make sure it's a different name. Yeah, let me run the script to see if it's actually gonna take, because see, you know what this is? What happened is on theirs, they have a script that's running and it's fail running your permissions right here. Yeah, I have the script right here. Let me see if I can just run it. Last time, like I had to run it a few times, so. Sorry. What's that?
Michael, you've got to be patient. That website DDK, that website that CLA, that E, that ED, that IO, website that .net. Wait, I wonder if I can find one that's like $1. Probably not. I don't think so. Yeah. I think the cheapest one is gonna be the $5 one. $5 one. It's not linked. Of course. Yeah, that is gonna be the cheapest one. The next
Okay,
closest
let's
one
try
is not-
reset.
I mean,
Reset here. This is it. They show that here. Okay. So click reset, click yes. I'm gonna try one more time, and then if not, we're gonna go to, we'll see if we can link it to the free Amazon account through it. Okay, then start lab.
I'm resetting.
So hopefully when we do that, we will restart the permissions. I read the permissions on the script. It says it's allowed. So I don't know why it's failing like this. And it does that sometimes on Vocarium. So, all right, start. Until this is green is where you're gonna be able to go. So the real AWS is not like this, okay? It's like this is because you see the website that they're pushing the classes through is Vocarium, which is a third party from Amazon, and they're using Canvas API with it. So sometimes when servers talk, you do lose some of the credentials that's being brought into another server. And last night I had the same thing happen. This morning I tried 2 times and I was successful the second time. So I rewrote the instructions based on that, and then I released the lab because I wasn't gonna do this lab if it is like this again.
So there's a warehouse full of servers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, not all warehouses have their so you see the locations that's listed, those are their data center. So you have some in California, the northern and some part of California, and then you have the Oregon one. I think they have like 100 and something different data centers around the world, right?
At my job, I was able to track down the IT people. Some people had to mold their up what did they do? Yeah, what was the route they took to get that job?
Mm-hmm.
One of them said he took I don't know if it's a bachelor or master's in computer science,
Okay.
and the other one said he just studied for the CompTIA test, the exam.
Yeah, which is
He
this
passed.
class.
He said he passed it, he got hired.
Yep.
So they said either take the college route or take the certification route. Study.
Okay, let me see if you can go through the other one now. 1 second. If not, we'll call it quit. I am sad. I tried, okay, sorry. I really do. I want you to experience this because it's really cool when you terminal into it. You're like, oh wow, I can connect to the data center. Yeah, it looks like it's down though.
Yeah, that's what I've been getting. The
I'm
camera's
getting
going
that
out.
too when
Yeah.
you reset it. So let me start it on my side and see if that works, okay? Oh my God. Sorry. Start lab. I'm gonna start it for everybody again for the 3rd time.
There's dot tracks. Look,
Yeah, I tried to also put a Docker for you, but it didn't even load. So. Okay, let's see. I remember that there's a link
wait, no.
that you
You
can
missed it.
do.
Yeah, I did. It was a really funny one too. No. There's another dot church. Dot flames, dot clean, dot click, dot
Okay,
clinic,
so
dot
refresh.
found. Let's see. Dot domains. Dot energy, dot
Start
equipment,
lab. Yeah, it should go now. Oh, it did.
dot gifts.
It shows that it started on mine.
Dot school.
All right, I
services,
think
dot
I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna lose this one.
This one and this one.
Oh, so frustrating. All right.
Log out, log in. Actually, that's actually what happened to me, and that didn't work. Oh, what? No. I've been
Let me
signed
see.
out.
I think there is a link on here that you can use to go to their AWS what is it called? Their free account. Hold on, let me find it. Yeah, region restrictions, services usage for the restrictions. We are all enabled for that. You see that? That's what we're supposed to have access to. It's on us to see. Access management console. Terminal.
Should I do that? No. Why not? No, not that domain. I was talking about the other domains. Should I buy a domain?
Okay, let me
Yes.
try while we wait.
Yeah, so I could host my next
Nothing.
cloud server there. Because right now it's only locally.
Yeah, I think it just failed. So it's not, we're not able to connect or even, sorry. Okay, so one more thing before we go, I want to show you how to SSH, at least that. Okay, all right, ready? And then I will fix this lab. We will do Azure next time. But on Azure, we will just use an account. Okay. So on AWS, if you use the free account, you can definitely use this procedure to be able to connect to it. It's exactly the same thing. It's just we're using Vocarium to get free stuff where you don't have to put in your credit card, and we rely on that. So I wrote this with the free account in mind also. So So after you launch your instances and you download, right, you use your PEM key, you are going to use a product called Putty. This is very common in the IT world and also in the security world. This is a way that you can SSH into a system. You can use command line SSH directly, but this is nice because it actually opens up a window and you can see the desktop of that system if it has the desktop. So what you will do
Wait,
is go ahead
really?
and download Putty.
Wait, so it's kind of like the remote, like the remote desktop?
Yeah, so it is a remote desktop product and it uses SSH or other type of protocol. So you're gonna click
How does
here.
it find the desktop just using SSH?
IP, public IP.
Oh,
Okay. So when what I did earlier was I clicked download here, click that, and you see these releases, okay? So for Windows environment, you are going to use the 64x86. That's Intel x86. So you are going to download this one. But if you're using Linux, you have to use this one, and it's a zip package, so you have to tarball it. Okay. Now, there are alternative binary files down here that you can see, but what we need today is this one with the .msi. Whenever you see the .msi, that's the Windows. Okay. And then you are going to open this up, and you can use this for any cloud environment as long as you have your key, your .pen file. Okay. But what Putty will do is it's going to take that file and it's going to convert it to its own key file. So you have to be able to set that up. If you don't have your .pen file, it's not going to be able to convert it. Now, if you're using Raspberry Pi, you can SSH to any system that supports SSH. So Raspberry Pi will give you the key and you would download that key, and that's the key that you use to access that system. So the cloud give us the key, we download that key so we can access it, the actual interface for it, command line and so on, right? So you're gonna go next here, it's gonna put it on the C folder program files, just like any software, you're gonna go next, okay? You can add the shortcut to your desktop if you want, but you don't have to. So if you like shortcut, you can choose this option and then add shortcut, right? Then click install. And it's a pretty lightweight application. It is way better than some of the other non-secured remote type of desktop environment. So you're gonna click finish. Okay, so once you're done, so what am I talking about here? I'm actually I chose the MSI 3264-bit and I installed. So this application is going to give you two areas. One is going to be a key generator. Two is going to be an actual app. You have to use the key generator to actually access it. And people who don't know how to use Putty tend to make a mistake and they say, oh, Putty doesn't work. Putty works perfectly fine. It's just you have to make sure that it is a Putty Gen. So in your search bar, you're going to do a Putty Gen. You notice that when you search Putty, there are two Putty. There's regular Putty and there's Putty Gen. So you want to get the Putty Gen. Okay, and this is what it looks like. So the first part of this is to use the key to unlock your system and then connect to it. That's the point, right? So we would then, what we need to do is here, after you get to Putty Gen, you are going to select the RSA, which is the button there, if it's not selected. So there are different type of parameter for your key, and then you are going to locate the downloaded key. So here's my Putty Gen RSA, right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and click the load button. And then I'm gonna go to downloads. And I don't see anything here because Putty is gonna look for PPK, which is its key file. So you have to select this thing on the right, the drop-down menu for the file type, and you're gonna choose all file. Okay, and then you are going to choose the .pem that you want to use, right, for your instance that ideally would be working. I'm sorry about that. Click open. And it's gonna say that it's already imported that in. It brings that in, and then we want to save this private key. So encryption PKI works this way. You're gonna have, when you encrypt, you can encrypt with the private key and open decrypt with the public key. When in some cases we encrypt with the public key, then we have to decrypt with the private key. It's never the same key to encrypt and decrypt, and that's how it's able to protect it. So that's what called the PKI infrastructure in a few seconds, right? So here, this is the comment, and then what you want to do is you want to put in a passphrase, okay? A long password. Make sure they match. Okay, so where am I at this point? So I loaded my PEM file, I put in the passphrase, then I'm gonna go ahead and click save private, what is that? Save private key. Click save private key. Okay, and then give it a name. I just copy PKN. And notice that it's gonna put it in that location that you had. So when you click this right here, it's gonna put it into downloads where it found the other key, okay? So if you want to save this somewhere, which ideally we should, you wanna move it to a different folder, both the PEM and the PPK, so you have it, okay? So make sure that you know that it's in the downloads folder. All right, so now we're done with the generation of the key. You can close this. Now you are gonna open up the Putty app, which is the second option, not the Gen. Okay. Now, I think I covered port and protocol a few weeks ago. One of the area in cybersecurity is that we use SSH for a lot of things. It allows us to have a tunnel connection to a system. So you can be an admin at home and you can connect to a server and be able to configure your server without having to drive to work. And that's the beautiful thing about it, as long as you can connect to it. And you can use something like this if you have the public IP for it. So here is where we are gonna select the service. It's always gonna be tied to the protocol and a port number. The port number is just a number that is assigned for that service. So every service that you use on the internet or on your system has some form of port, because it needs that port to be able to establish a logical communication. Okay, so on this right here on the left, you want to click session, okay, which is where I'm at here. And then we want to be able to select SSH, and we're going to make sure that it's port 22. SSH is always port 22. Then on the left pane, we are going to go down and we're going to click on connection, which is here. This is where we configure. And once we get here, what we're going to do is we are going to make sure that we're going to keep it alive. Wait, what did I say? Okay, so in the seconds between keep alive and input file 300 minutes. Okay, so here is where you want to make sure how long do you want it to stay on if you're not touching it, right? Like, let's say that I wanted to run something on my server and then keep it going remotely. So if you put in the seconds, which is 300 seconds, that's gonna make it 5 minutes because there's 60 seconds per minute, right? And then you are going to expand the SSH, which is right here. Click that. And once you expand that, you are going to click off, which is this right here. And then you are going to browse to downloads and find your PPK, which is Putty key file. Click open. Okay. And then before you go forward or click open, you are going to look at some of these information. It talks about authentication, that it uses SSH 1 and 2, right? So we got here step 38. And then you are going to click open. I'm sorry. And then click on session on the left. And then here is where you're going to put in the IP, and we don't have that because we couldn't activate our instance. But when you activate your instances, once you have your instances, it actually on AWS, it gives you a public IP. A public IP is an IP address that we can reach a certain server across the internet, where inside our home or our network, we use a private IP. Your router has a public IP. So what you can do is you can either use the server name here or the public IP address. So then you would type in and you click open and it opens. Now, if you implement security policy like what it recommends, you just gotta make sure that you tell it which system that you're connecting from, what is your public IP, so that way it sees you, okay? But otherwise, if you don't click any group policy, it actually just connect, it's pretty open, okay? And I've done this so many times with all my class using regular AWS Free Account, and it works. Unfortunately, today, Vocarium is not letting us. Okay, and I'm not giving up yet. Okay, so that's how you set up SSH connection with Putty. Okay, now, can you do Putty otherwise? Okay, you can use command line in Linux. You can use command prompt in Windows to use SSH. And you can also, if you have Raspberry Pi, you're probably familiar with SSH. And then you can also use AWS CLI, command line for AWS with SSH. Yeah, it times me out here. Let me see. I should have left it on this morning, but 4 hours with a timeout for you guys. So yeah, we're connecting really slow and I'm not getting through. So it's at least it's yellow now, not red. Okay, so before we go, because setting up the instance is very fast. It takes like 2-3 minutes. And then you get that IP address, and then you just have to plug that in here, and then you open. Once you already set up everything else, it's good to go. Okay, then that's how you use it. So when you're on the virtual server, I just want to run over this and then we'll call it a day. When you use a virtual server, you can actually use the VM stat command in Linux. It gives you the information about the operating system, your system processes, your IO blocks, your interrupt, your CPU, all of the things that we need for troubleshooting. So in the case if your server is failing or there's something wrong with it, it would also log it through this. So vmstat is another command that you can use because we worked on command prompt on the regular local system. I want to show you this. And then on ls off, this is a way that we can look at all the open files. So in the case where you suspect somebody went in and opened your files, you can use the ls off, which is list open file, to be able to see what has been displayed. Okay. And then netstat is the same as Windows. It lists all the local addresses and the foreign addresses. And then that would probably be it. But you know, those are just a few things that you can use on the Ubuntu system that we would connect to, but we are not right now because I'm not able to connect somehow. Okay. Are you having the same thing?
Yeah.
All right, that's okay. So what I like for you to do is if you already set this up, right? Click on off and take a screenshot of this for me. It shows that you load your key here. I just want you to know how to do that. Okay. So from here on out, there's no excuse about not knowing how to use a terminal application to be able to connect. There are other ones, okay, to use to direct connect, but it's less safe. On Windows side, you can use RDP. So if I'm connected to a Linux system, I would use a product like this, or any OS that's not Windows based. But if I'm connected to a Windows server, I'm going to use what's called RDP. Okay, how do I do that? And hopefully, if I can fix this, oh, it did go through. Let me see.
Yeah, you have to wait like for 4 minutes, and then it'll let you in.
But it just logged me out though. See? All right. So let's try to see if we can, my account, created a AWS account, create a free account, sign in. Okay. So if it does that, we just gonna go, you can use root user, but usually we don't manage with root user. I think this is what happened to me last time and I had to go, oh. So put in your account email, and then you gotta get past this stage, right? ZB45XP. Okay. All right, let's try it. I'm gonna show you now. So if it times you out, right, go click sign in again on AWS and then see if you can log in without having the canvas side. Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. I think it's gonna work. I'm hopeful that it's working this time. Because I want to show you how cool it is.
You try another with like Windows.
You have to, you can use RDP on Windows. I did write a lab for that too.
I'm gonna try another virtual machine. Let's see. I'll use this one.
Okay, so let's see. Name a key pair without a key pair, create a new, choose existing. Oh, I only have one. See, now this is my other AWS account now. Okay, let's see if I can demo this for you. So we just call demo CIS25, download key pair, save, launch instance. Okay, so I launched my instance using my other account so you can see, and I'm sorry if you can't do that. Hopefully you can. All right, then after I click launch instance, see how this is giving me, it's gonna tell me that this is the instance has been initiated. You can always click in it or you can click view instance. So all of these are different instances that have used over time. And the ones that's running, you see that the public IP is here, okay? So if you click on it, it should say it's running. And you can always stop it by right clicking or click on it and then choose stop. Okay. So as you can see here, I have some other ones from my other classes that I have used to program Python with. So on it, if you don't see the public IP here, you can also find it here. Okay. And it would always say, you know, information about it. You can also have the AMI name and the location. And I'm gonna stop this when I leave this here because my video goes on YouTube and I don't blur out stuff because I have no time. But yeah, so when you stop it, it just stopped the IP address and you want to do that when you're not using it. Okay, but ideally in the business environment, they don't stop it. They just have that public IP. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. Okay, that's the IP address that I need. So click here to copy. And then I'm gonna go back to Putty. And then I have to recreate the key now. Okay, because it's a different machine. So, but the point is, let me see. Let me redo that.
Okay. I'm pretty sure. No way this is actually gonna work. I knew it. That worked. Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now let's reopen Putty.
So many questions.
What are you trying to do? Sign up for it?
Yeah, because I used the 10-minute mail one to sign up for a test one, but it has so many questions like address.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. Street generator. Okay. Let's get myself a free website, a free account. Let's see. Let's see.
Okay, so I'm gonna connect to, let's see. The public IP on this one is
Vincent Street. Okay.
18.
Paste.
Dot 221 dot 25 dot
Random
28.
zip code. Wait, I need another up there. City,
And then I wanted to
Apple.
make sure
Valley.
that it's gonna
Okay.
stay open for about 5 minutes. Accept. There you go. And then I think let me find it. I think it's under, it says Ubuntu.
Copy.
So I'll answer this with you. So the login for it now. So as you can see, I connected. Okay. So once you put in the IP address, you would see Ubuntu is the login, and then the passphrase that you create for your key, and open sesame. I'm done there, right? So I'm in my Ubuntu, my instance that started. And I feel really bad that you are not able to experience that yourself unless you have a free account. But here it is. So what I'll do is you can take a look at this. You don't have to screen capture that. So let's answer some of the questions. So what we're gonna do is we are in Ubuntu. We are gonna put in top command, okay? And it's gonna give us the real-time processes.
I need a credit.
So
Oh my
yeah, on the free account, you have to put that in. That's okay. We don't
credit card
need it.
generator.
So So here is all the processes that's running, even though you're not doing a lot of the services, but on any server, you're gonna see some of that. So let's answer some question. How many tasks are running? Okay, it tells you here 113. So let's do 113.
What is it? What yeah, generate.
Okay,
So Visa.
how many tasks are sleeping? You're gonna look at the top. It's gonna tell you, right, how many tasks total. Actually, it's 112, but so 0 is sleeping.
Oh, this is number.
So top is a way that we can look at the running processes on Linux. Then it's asking you what is the total memory capacity? Why is this important? Because if you run out of RAM on your server, it crashes. But on the cloud side, whatever that you purchase, right? Whatever your service package is going to be, we saw that it's 1 gig with our free tier. So if you're running close to the capacity, you want to make sure that you upgrade it, right? So here it tells me the kilobytes on the top. I know it's really tiny. Okay. So the kilobyte for memory. So I'm like at 1 gig, but I'm using like half of it. So 405. So you can say like 405 meg.
What?
How much is free? I'm sorry, that's free. 93168U. So let's correct that. So this one is 93168.0Us. Is that right? Oh no, 93168, no 0. Sorry, I put it in the wrong spot. And then the free one is 405,668. And then my total memory capacity is 101.4528. 101.4528. And all of these are on KB, okay, kilobyte. Okay, so if I wanted to stop it from doing this, right, it tells me here that I wanted to use input Q to quit. So just press Q and then able to let me insert. See the command man root. All right, I had to hit Shift Q, sorry. Forgot that sometimes they, okay. So I'm back to the terminal here, and then the next command I'm gonna use is gonna be vmstat. And on here, it shows a couple of things. It shows the cache, the buffer for the swap, and then it shows the value, which is gonna also be storage. Okay. So the capacity for the buffer, that will be 39380. We're almost done. And then for the cache, that is 476188.
What's the
KB. All right, then we are going to do ls off. That means list open file. It's a lot, right? All of this registry stuff, all of these directory that relates to the kernel, it's open. So list the last entry display on the list. So this is gonna be the process ID is that. Let me see what I wanted. Okay, so we can say that this is gonna be, we just say pipe, first in, first out. So we just say pipe. That's fine. So that was a command that it needed to use the file. Okay. Then we are gonna do the netstat. So netstat. And also it gives us all the connected, because we want to be connected. Otherwise, we will not be able to communicate with the AWS server or the system, right? So it tells you the state, it tells you the type, and it tells you, your inode and the path that's running from the directory. So here it asks you for the local address. And your local address is 172.31.0.10. So let me repeat that. 172.31.0.10. The foreign address is 204.69.4.39. Let me highlight that so you can see. And then it has a port number. I'm not done, sorry. After the 39, the port number is, you're gonna do :6071. Oh, I'm sorry. See, I'm dyslexic. 60701. Yep. All right. We don't need to do the screenshot. That's okay. And then we're done, right? So what you see here is but I wanted to close this session now. Before I end it, I do a shutdown now, right? To boot it down. It says failed set wall messages ignoring interactive. Down. Let's see.
We're paying attention, Michael. Come on.
That's okay. We'll close.
How am I looking?
End the
Yeah, but that was
session.
different. I was doing something
Then
important.
I'm gonna go back to
I did a free
AWS.
account. You're playing
Okay.
Wizard Craft or whatever.
And then I'm gonna stop the instance. And then it's gonna stop it. So after it stops, it's gonna end the session for that public IP, and they can use that public IP for another server. Okay, so that way I don't have to be able to worry about it. Now, what after that, I have to log out.
So, okay. matter that it's slightly off. the
Okay.
line, but she won't- No.
So on yours, if you want, if it's working, then you can try to do it again, right?
Maybe at home. That time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave it on, right? I won't end it. And then if for some reason, if it times out and it counts out to $0, you email me, I'll reset your account on my end. And then it will just refresh it to the $100 one that you use, because it's free with them, right? So we have until December 17 to really use this particular product. And then, you know, if I do see that it's stable and it's working, then we can, and you can also run Raspbian on this. So if you want to play with Raspberry Pi interface, you can run Raspbian on this. And then you can do other that's free. Okay, if you like Windows Server, this is the base container. How do you hate Windows Server?
I look like this.
90% of the business use Windows Server, so you have to love it
Like
or learn to
Linux
love
better.
it.
Even Linux server is better than.
You know, I was a Windows Server admin for a long time, so I love it.
The UI so-
I love it. I love command prompt. I love PowerShell. I love it, everything. I love Linux too.
Now you show me the terminal. Now that. So doesn't want to work.
Yeah, it's not right. I'm gonna email their support and ask them why it's not running that permission script. So you know, maybe it's me that I'm not launching something, but I read the instruction. I follow everything that they said to activate for your class. So, but there might be, we could miss something. Okay. So let's, you
This
know,
account is restricted, right?
huh?
The account we're on.
Well, it's supposed to be restricted to a certain level, but it should allow EC2.
Because I went down
Yeah.
to view my account and it says you need permission to, or like.
You don't have permission to access billing information. Yeah, because you don't have billing information. But other than that, so if you have all of this submitted on Canvas, and then you're good to go for today. And I'm sorry you're not able to turbo into your own AWS, but you can use that instruction for your own free account. If you read the Amazon instruction for Putty, there's some missing steps, right? I rewrote the instructions. And then on the Windows side, you just use RDP. Instead of Putty, you just use RDP.
I just use my name.
Okay. And then you can also use AWS CLI, which is their command line, very close to Linux. But they have tutorial for that as well. If you want to know how to use AWS CLI, I do have a YouTube video for CIS30B that was posted. You can check that out. All right. Any questions? So on the server, on the Windows side, once you establish the server, you put in the IP address here, you could connect and it goes. Just disable your Windows firewall and it works, right? You don't have to set up, you know, the SSH part. It uses RDP, which is remote desktop protocol.
You can set up an exception for it. You don't have to turn it on.
Right. You
Yeah.
can set up a rule for it.
That's what I do.
All right.
Because I remoted it to my Linux, my Ubuntu from Windows, and I use that.
Yes. I'm sorry. You can turn it in. Yeah, I have a feeling that they're not gonna be able to fix it like tonight or tomorrow. So I'm gonna contact their support for the Academy side and see why their permission is not working. It was earlier today. It did last night when I tested with my own student account. So we'll find out. And then if it's working later, I'll let you know. Okay. And then if it's working later, I'll show you how you can do Windows Server on AWS, or we can try Azure. So next week, we don't have to come on Monday, but we will meet on Wednesday. But Monday, I will turn on your practice test please work on that. You can do it, don't have to be on Monday, you can do it throughout the week. And that's gonna be your prep for CompTIA A+ and apprenticeship. So there is two modes, the learning mode, which is it shows you the answer, and then there's the exam mode. So do the learning mode first. It's a pool of 7,000 questions for CompTIA. Okay, so it randomly select the question. So when you do the learning mode one time, it doesn't mean that the questions for the exam mode are going to be exactly the same, and that's how CompTIA works. You can study the book and then you get some different questions, but you want to be knowledgeable as much as you can. There are multiple choice, and then I can always reset it, but I will set it. There's a link to Practice Lab, and you can use it as long as you want. And then when this class is over, and if you want more practice tests for other certification, email me. I have skillsets.com online, and they have hundreds of certifications. You can access it through there. Okay, programming and all that. There is a Python competition right now going on for that. If you are interested in that, you can also go for it. But oh, forgot to tell you. I mentioned to those of you who came in earlier, right? They have this thing called Mobile Learns, and you can get some money. It's through the city of Moreno Valley. I think you have to be a resident, but if you are, you can apply. Some of my students, they got free money from there because they have the money to have to give it away to students. And then I have a couple other things that I will share with you on announcement in the class.
It's 75, right? 75 and above is passing, like for the CompTIA.
80.
80?
All the new CompTIA is 80. 80% or higher is passing.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Okay, let me stop recording.